Okay, welcome to this episode where we are going to learn more about ethnic minorities in Kenya. These are communities which have very few people compared to other bigger communities in the country. Today we have a privilege of having one of the representatives of the Sengwer people or the Sengwer ethnic community in Kenya, and is going to share a lot with us about their community. This Sengwer community is based in Elgeyo Marakwet, Trans Nzoia, and West Pokot. So welcome, Mr. Kimayo. You would tell us who you are, what you do, and where you come from, so that our viewers will get to know more about you.
Thank you, Mr. Kerosi, for hosting me this evening. I'm privileged to have you here. So my name is Elias Kimayo. I land and human rights defender from Sengwer of Embubut in Elgeyo Marakwet County.
Okay. So how many people do we have in Sengwer community generally in Kenya?
We can rely on 2019 census because they reduced our number tremendously from 33,878 to 10,000. So possibly we are around more than 33,000 because in 2009 we were 33,000.
Okay. So you strongly believe that the population has increased and not reduced by, that's a huge margin from 33,000 to 10,000, that's a huge margin of decrease. The second question, because I have 8 questions I'm asking, the second question is your community recognized by the government in terms of opportunities, and do you have a community code?
We've not been recognized since colonial came to Kenya as ethnic. We were not given that tribal code. So what we were only given is just the census code. Therefore it means we can't access opportunities in Kenya. So we compete with other bigger minority communities. So we are disadvantaged in terms of employment, like JSU, police, and the rest even. And also the affirmative action that we saw that it will give us opportunities, it's not being implemented in Kenya. So we are in big problem.
Okay, thank you, Bana Kimayo. In Kenya we have the Kalenjin community. Kalenjin is made up of subgroups of, or sub-ethnic groups, like we have the Nandis, Kipsigis, and others. Is yours one of the Kalenjin community? Is it one of them?
Yeah, we are one of them, but the problem is that we are not recognized ethnically as Sengwer being part of Kalenjin sub-tribes. Those who are in West Pokot, they are considered as Pokot. Those who are in Trans Nzoia, like any other communities. Some of us who are in Marakwet, we are considered as Marakwet. But historically, we are not Marakwet. Even if you go to archives, it was argued by a chief during colonial times that we are not Marakwets, we are Sengwer, and we have those records.
What is the brief history of the Sengwer? Can you probably in summary tell us the origin of the Sengwer? Because most communities in Kenya, like the Kikuyu, they came from Mumbi. Mumbi was the person who gave birth to Kikuyu. Is there a similar story for the Sengwer, like how they came to be?
I think like most of the Sengwer too believe that they came from supernatural being, and that supernatural being, most when they were born in they put them in forests, and majorly after like Kikuyus and the rest of migratory trends of Kenya, we migrated like another ethnic minority in Kenya, but having our own beliefs on how we came to existence, that supernatural being, and we believe sun, we normally call it Yebetop Chematau. That is the overall supernatural being that we were born out of it.
So Okay, seems there is a storm over here, but we will still continue. The next question is: do the Sengwer ethnic minority have traditional medicines, like traditional knowledge on how to treat people, and also the herbs we collect from the forests? Do you have those kind of things? Because they are there all over in other communities.
Keros, as you know that we've lived in forests in all years, and we don't have hospitals in the forest. Therefore, we relied majorly. We stand as a community proud that our existence was being kept by our natural medicine that we used to, because we have specialists in our communities. And not only that, we also have skull surgeons in our community that can perform complex skull surgeries that hospitals are unable to, or neurosurgeons are unable to perform. You find someone has injured his head, he goes to hospital, then possibly he is returned to home because hospital can do nothing. Then our traditional specialists can do that, and that is something that we are proud of, that we have people that we need to document and also keep them licensed to practice it in a legal way.
So viewers, you have heard that the Sengwer ethnic community, they have neurosurgeons, traditional ones, not those ones you are used to seeing in hospitals. They conduct surgeries on your skulls. They probably repair a skull which has been injured. So those are the Sengwer community. Do your people have security of land tenure, that is title deeds to the land which they own? And if not, why? Or what is the process like? What is happening?
That is the major challenge. That is why we are not recognized. It is a major challenge from colonial era. So we don't have land tenure rights. And the rest of our lands, when colonists came here, they took their fertile land, their flat land in lowlands, and also they converted their forests into protected area. So it means it put us in a vulnerable situation whereby we are battling now. As we have Article 63(2) of our constitution that recognizes forests that were used by hunters and gatherers to be their land, but we don't have policy to effect that. Apart from we first 2016 community 2018 or 2016 community land policy, but it's not expressly gives us that. It needs, there is a process. So we really have challenge of land tenure rights, and land is everything. Land is culture. Land is everything to each and every citizen to our country. Yeah.
So basically it means that you are squatters on your own land, your own ancestral land.
So government has made us squatters in our own ancestral land, and that is our land. We inherited from our grandparents. It is basically our land.
From your ancestors.
But now the forest policy is the one that makes us squatters in our own land. But that is not true, as we say.
Yes.
Yeah.
So now that you do not have security of land tenure, what about do you have access to quality education and healthcare? Do you have access to hospitals, medical staff? Do you have access to drugs and medicine in those hospitals? Maybe in summary?
We don't have access to LD, and we don't have access to education. The only schools that existed before eviction in 2014 were about 8 community schools, but it got destroyed. From there on, 10 people have been surviving their own way in order to access education. And in our laws of Kenya, it is a must for every child and compulsory to get an education. So we wonder as to why government are just affecting us, while we expressly our laws states that a child should have compulsory and affordable education.
Affordable education. So which language do Sengwer people speak? Do they speak the Sengwer language, or you are speaking the language of the people who assimilated you, like the Elgeyo Marakwet or the West Pokot language? That is Pokot. Which one?
We still speak our language as Sengwer, but the major problem of possible evictions is now that our children are intermingling with other communities. So we are in patch, like our language would get lost if we don't have land any rights and the eviction is still going on. That is the major problem. It is something that worries us every day, that what can we do in order to maintain our language and our culture.
Okay, now which are some of these cultural practices from the Sengwer community that you are most proud of? The ones which are very distinct, which you say this is only practiced by the Sengwer.
We have many things. For example, now our culture is associated with living in forests, and we still live in trees. That is why a tree and Sengwer are just the same. And removing a Sengwer from forests is like removing a fish from aquatic environment. That is how we are. We are used to living in a unique environment and in a forest ecosystems. We don't live where there is no trees. That is our home, and that is what we are proud from other people. We don't destroy forests. We care them like we care ourselves.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, do you have other cultural practices, for example, like circumcision rites? Do you have, like, how do you conduct your marriage rites, for example, those celebrations when someone is marrying? What is the process like? Do people pay dowry in terms of cows, or do they bring firewood? Because what happens now, those cultures?
Yeah, we have a unique culture, and our culture really starts from when you are born. So there is those cultural practices or ceremonies for like child naming, part child naming. For example, I have names of different kinds. When I was born, I was given an ancestral name that is not normally being mentioned most of the time, but my family knows about it. Then it causes there is two stages, circumcision stages, and our circumcision is not done like we circumcise boys. We used also to circumcise girls, but as time goes now, there is that education whereby people have seen the implication of circumcising girls, and they have gone further on that they are embracing now that they are not practicing now FGM as it used to be, and as you know, it's unable to root cultural easily. So, and we circumcise boys. That is a must for every Sengwer boy to be circumcised, and they are not being circumcised just in open areas. We have some special places whereby they go and get circumcised inside, mostly inside the forests. That is where we circumcise our boys, and we have our sharings inside the forests. We have our caves, and we have our special ways on how we use the forest and in attachment with it. So about marriage is that it depends. Like long time ago, we used to pay honey as a dowry, and if you had cows by then, like now.
How much honey do you pay, for example, for dowry?
Yeah, it depends. It depends on the season when you get married. So, and we can't really measure in terms of liters or not, because there is some special calabash whereby they measure according to the season and according to how rich you are. So that is how you.
So if you are very rich, you bring more honey.
You bring more honey. Yes, you bring more honey. Yeah.
Okay. So in terms of religious practices, we have Christianity in Kenya, we have Muslim, we have Hindus, and we have traditional religions which are practiced in this country. Traditional meaning that there are those who do not probably believe in this God who was brought by the white man and the Bible. So which are the traditional practices, not traditional but religious practices for the Sengwer people? Were they converted to Christianity, or they are still practicing traditional religion?
Yeah, some Sengwer were converted into Christianity, but I believe those are just a small number because of this issue of fictions and some kind of assimilation. But most Sengwer too practice their cultures. So
the traditional religious practices.
Yeah, Sengwer too practice traditional religion. So and there is so many ways of practicing that it doesn't demand that you go to church or whatever. There is a congregation, special occasions like child naming or that, or even there is ceremonies, various ceremonies, and that we consider it as our traditional our religion. Our traditional religions.
Do you have religious leaders, the traditional religious leaders?
Yeah, we have them like almost everyone, like all the people and all the men and women, and possibly that is like elders. Elders are bestowed that kind of, because they are up that rich knowledge and knowledge of that traditions on how most of the time, or even each and every elderly in their family is the one who performs like prayers.
They are now like priests or padres.
No, they are not like priests in such a way, but it depends on the seasons. Like there is seasons for harvest seasons, there is offerings to be done, there is prayers to be done. It depends on the seasons, and even mostly when calamity strikes or we get a good harvest or there is something. It's not like going every Sunday, and that there is some special occasions.
So in some traditional African communities, people used to offer sacrifices to the gods to respond to their prayers. For example, when there is drought, are there those kind of sacrifices which probably they used to give or they are giving nowadays?
We've used it to be giving, and we are still giving up to the moment. So for example, if you make just any alcohol, then you don't you should have to pour libations or that. And also if there is good harvesting, then there is you just sacrifice. There is a kind of a card, special card, whereby we believe that our ancestors are progression of our generation, so we do keep offerings. And one thing to mention, Keros, is that when we are being affected, so it's really bad to move from where your ancestors were buried, because it gives you trouble when we are outside there. We need to be living out there because it is part and parcel of us, so that every morning or every another day you just to keep them something, and that is sacrifices that we keep, so that to link us to the higher being.
To make sure your prayers are heard by the gods.
Yes.
The final words you might want to tell the people who don't know much about Sengwer, some last message.
So what I can say about Sengwer is that we are like any other human being, and we have our own cultures that we respect and gives us living, like gives us that identity. So we need our cultures to be respected, and more so we urge our government to respect, to keep us, to grant us our land rights. Colonial came and took this land from us. Then government came, became the second like colonial, and yet we are Kenyans. We have expressed those. I urge the government to respect us and give us. Evicting people is not a solution to conservation, but giving them that chance and empowering them will make the forest intact. And we are not carrying that forest for ourselves. We have downstream communities, we have forest adjacent communities, and the larger prosperity of Kenya. We are the people who are in power in conserving this environment, because it is like it is our home, and no one bans its home. If you ban our houses, it's like you are banning our forests. And if you go to Embu now, Kerosi, it's not like the way we grew up. When government took over the position that this is our land, then it becomes problematic. We saw the forest receding each and every day. So, and also another thing is that also we are seeing now conservation agencies are focusing on government instead of supporting communities to care their forests. Despite that Kenya is a sovereign state, so they should have to make their laws in a line that they should have to respect the indigenous communities who live on their land and uses it sustainably the way we've been doing for generations. These forests that are standing is because Sengwer were there. So we are not farmers, we can't clear forests. So we need to be recognized as forest indigenous communities and have a bigger stake in conserving this environment. Yes.
Thank you very much, Bwana Kimayo. We will continue engaging you, and probably, if we get a chance, we will pay a visit. We will come regularly to the to your community to document and let Kenyans know more about what is happening with the Sengwer community in Elgeyo Marakwet. Thank you, viewers. That is our first episode in this series. You will see more. Next time we will not be seated in an hotel like settings like this one. We will be going direct to the ground, talking to the people and sharing their experiences. And then from there we will learn more and we will be able to support. Please support the Sengwer people to enjoy their security of land tenure and also to have access to healthcare and education. Thank you very much for tuning in. If you are still here, please subscribe to this YouTube channel and also comment. If you have any question, let us see it in the comment section. We will respond. Thank you very much. See you in the next episode.
Okay, thank you.